time for another update. And before I get started, Merry Christmas to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful holiday this year. I'm going to take it easy and do a quiet one, inner reflection type of thing. Not my usual way of handling it, but I think it's needed this year. Anyway, moving on. Today's topic is about a global dark night of the soul. And it's actually the continuation in a multi-part series I'm going to be doing on this topic. For those of you who may not have heard last week's message, that's where I began this series. And I talked about how, these last few years before we hit 2012 are a time of intense change. And I realized that this is the great tribulations that was talked about in Revelations, and I'd known about that, but I never realized that it was just another name for a dark night of the soul. And I had lived my life in fear of the great tribulations because I was indoctrinated with this terror, that I grew up with in going to church every week about how it would be horrible and we'd seek death and not find it, the whole blah, blah, blah thing. Anyway, so I had this epiphany that last week that, oh, well, that's just a dark night of the soul. Oh, okay, well, I can get through that. I know how to get through a dark night of the soul. I've been through those. In fact, I went through one that was 2.5 years long. So I know I can get through one of those. And all of a sudden, the fear and the terror I had carried all my life, granted it was less than it had been before, it just kind of dropped off my shoulders. It's like, wow, okay, I can handle this. Couldn't handle the great tribulations because I had no tools that I knew of to deal with that. But I can certainly handle the dark night of the soul. So this week I want to talk about more about the tools and the knowledge that will be required to get through a dark night of the soul, and a global one at that, and realizing that this is a very broad topic. I'm going to cut this up into pieces and do this a little, topic by topic or subject by subject. So today we're going to be talking about the knowledge, the higher dimensional knowledge that is required to get through a dark night of the soul. So let's begin with, what is the purpose of a dark night of the soul? A dark night of the soul, the purpose is for you to be able to reclaim some great degree of power that you have given up during your time here on earth. And you've given it up because of beliefs that you have adopted, that society supports, and so you're walking around feeling somewhat powerless. And in DNA recoding, we talk about going through dark nights of the soul. In fact, level 6 of DNA recoding, which there are 8 levels, is a dark night. It's where you will have been prepared to go through a lesson that will, the purpose of which is to help you reclaim your power from something that you have given it away to. And it's a deal of your power. For example, your fear around you give away your power to authority figures, so it's helping you reclaim that power and become an authority figure yourself. So in this global dark night of the soul, we have to understand, what this one is about. So, to begin, the Mayans talk about this time, and I think they call it, well, I can't remember what they call it. I'm not a big Mayan expert. There's a lot of people out there that do it. But basically, this is a time when the systems will fail. And that will precipitate a dark night of the soul. In other words, we put all of our faith and trust into the systems to keep doing things for us, even though we're angry that the systems require us letting go or giving up our power to them in order to, get what we need. Those systems are now starting to fall apart. And what that's teaching us is that we can no longer depend on those outside of ourselves to sustain our lives. And as it goes, the systems will begin falling, starting with the financial, and that's begun. Then industrial, well, that's begun. And then government, and that's starting to happen. Governments are falling. Iceland, the country of Iceland has gone bankrupt. I can't believe it. And then finally the religious systems. So all four will fail. They'll basically crumble because you cannot build a new reality on old systems. And this Dark Night of the Soul, which is going to be 3.5 years long, is all about these systems crumbling. And in the process of that, it's going to trigger all of our fears around safety. That is a lesson that this Dark Night of the Soul is here to help us learn, is that we have given our power away in order to attain safety. We look to those outside of ourselves for safety, whether it be through our religion, through our government, through our armed forces, whatever it is. We're